What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. It looks like we should be good, hopefully. All right. So, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're just going to do a normal chill hangout like we normally do. I do have a little bit of an update. Obviously, the title may give it away. We do have Tropica plants coming back in stock this week. So we've had a couple left over still from our last shipment, but we have a big shipment. This is the biggest one we've ever done. I think it's 4 times larger than our last one, which I want to say it's probably about 4 times, maybe 3 times larger. So we got a ton of plants that are coming in. They actually arrived today, but I haven't had a chance to go through them and put them away. That'll be tomorrow, so we'll wind up putting them away tomorrow. And restocking the website tomorrow along with a bunch of other plants that we get in from our other suppliers as well. So you could expect to see a ton of plants come in stock. And I think there might even be some new plants that we haven't gotten before. So it'll be really cool to see what exactly we got. Because I actually didn't place the order myself. Jake did. So he ordered whatever he thought would be cool. And I think there's probably a couple new plants in there that we haven't had before. So really interested to see what's going to be in there. But definitely give the website a look tomorrow. I don't know if I'll send out an email. Main reason right now we're a man down essentially. Ashley, Jake's actual girlfriend that works with us as well, she's away right now, and so we're a man down, and also Margaret's going away on vacation this weekend, so we're essentially 2 people down, so it's just me and Jake. So I don't want to flood us with orders because we'll get overwhelmed, and then I don't want to delay people's packages. So probably won't send out any newsletters or emails updating everybody, but if you're in the market, definitely check it out. Check out the website and see what we have. It'll all be up by, I would say it'll all be up by Friday morning, if not Thursday night, but Friday morning for sure. It just depends. Any new plans we have to make product pages for, so we have to take pictures, fill out description, make sure everything's working right with those, and so it'll take a little bit, but we should have everything good to go by Friday morning. So yeah, it'll be cool. But yeah, so that's really about it. Tropica order is going to be sweet. Really excited about it. And that's about it. Let's see who we have in the chat. Hey, Levy. Oh, Levy says, sorry, I have to go. Later, Levy. Thanks for checking out the stream. Deanan, what's going on? What's up? How's it going? So overall, doing good. Well, if you tuned into the stream 2 weeks ago, I was sick then. I'd gotten a little bit better, I thought, and then I got sick again. So now I'm still sick. I still seem to have this cough that won't go away. And, yeah, so I've now been sick for, it's going on almost 2 months. Like, just one sickness after another. It's incredible. I've never been this sick in my life. It's crazy. But, like, it just keeps coming back. I think I got better for like 4 days. I felt like fine for 4 days, roughly, and then like, nope, right back to being sick. It really sucks. Really sucks. I think it's all these temperature swings because a week and a half ago we had 70-degree weather, and now we're down to like 30-degree weather here in New York and New Jersey. So it really stinks, but it is what it is, and we got to deal with it. Oh, yeah, I want to show you guys what's going on, Frank. Just give you guys a little looky at the pond tank. If you saw it this weekend, and the water's cleared up, and you can see, there is a little detritus. You can see it right there that I gotta get cleaned up. But all in all, it's doing really well. Really like the way that tank's turning out. I'm actually really enjoying the maintenance videos, doing them. It's just, like, honestly, I haven't had time to really sit there and, do much maintenance and do these things on the aquariums. And so I really like making a video about it because it kind of, like, kills 2 birds with 1 stone. I get a video out of it, so it saves me from having to do, like something, like do a video and all the editing. And it also gets me back to doing maintenance and like taking care of the aquariums, which I mean, honestly, like I kind of miss because I haven't really been doing it. So like the video that I did on the cube tank over here, which also let me show you guys because it looks really good. There is some more algae coming back. I can already see it in the bottom, but this tank's doing really, oh, wait, Okay, there we go, that way. This tank's doing really well too. I want to get some more Nibus Nana Petite. I forgot to order it, but all in all, it looks pretty good. I'm really, really liking that tank as well. Next up on the chopping block is going to be this tank behind me. I don't know if I'll be able to do it this week just because, like I said, Margaret's away until literally Sunday. And Sunday we have to pack the orders for Monday, and I'm going to be short on time probably. So I'm probably going to have to whip together a quick little video on something else because doing maintenance on this tank probably going to take me about an hour itself. And that's a long footage time to really go through and edit. Even though I haven't been editing them that much, this I feel like is going to require me to edit some of the footage. So I'm going to try and maybe do a video on one of the new Tropica plants if I got something new and exciting. I'll probably do a video on that instead. But yeah, I'm really it's relaxing, like going back into the tanks and doing maintenance and you know, just enjoying it. I missed a little bit of algae there when I cleaned out the tank. See a thing. But I need my problem with the detritus in this tank too, because you saw all the brown stuff that was on the gravel or on the sand there. The problem with that is this. So upstairs, we're in like the first floor of my house, and behind you guys is the kitchen. But recently I switched out the kitchen fixture to like a new like fancy water spout thing, and it doesn't have a connection for a Python. So now and the bathroom that's right next to me doesn't have a connection that works with the Python. Like I've tried, I got adapters, and it just doesn't work. So I'm kind of limited on what I can do with gravel vacs. So when I first started in the hobby, I had this really cool battery operated. It's almost like a Python, but not. So it's battery operated, and you click a button, and what it does is it creates suction, and it sucks up the water, spits it out the side of it, but on the side of it you have like a filter sock almost. And so what happens is you can gravel vac smaller tanks without needing a Python and get all that gunk up out of there. And I want to get that gadget again because I think I broke the one that I had. So I'm going to probably buy another one, and then I'll do a video on it because I think it's really cool for people that have small tanks and may be in the same predicament, like don't have a Python or something. It's so cool and so useful, and it would just really allow me to clean this up more, you know, much more than it already is. It'll allow me to suck up all that detritus and stuff. So I think I'm going to do that for a future video, future update on that. But yeah, so what's going on, Frank White? How's it going? Gary says, I feel the same way. I've had a real nice respiratory infection for the past week. Dang, Gary, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's like going around, and now there's that coronavirus that's like supposedly like getting spread like wildfire in China, and it's just like scary right now. I've never been this sick in my life. Nisi says to refresh this page on Friday. Yes, definitely refresh it. I love that pond tank. That the natural look is always best. Yes, I really like the natural look myself. Like even the water is like brown tinted here, which is like cool. I like that look. Sorry, I got a cough. But yeah, the brown water is like even a brownish tinge to it, which is nice. Like I don't know, I just like it. This one though, the cube on the other side is like completely clear. Like it's really nice looking. I don't know. But yeah, the tanks are doing well. I can't complain. You know, it definitely feel like I can't even stress like getting rid of the tanks, the 3 tanks here that are just draining them and having them empty is like just a huge weight off my shoulders. It's like made me so much more like not have it like I had anxiety about it, honestly. Like I was like, I really got to clean these tanks. They look horrible, but I just don't have the time. And so getting rid of them, like, you know, in the sense of draining them down so I don't have to touch them really is just so great. And I'm going to have to move them into the shed. I haven't had time to do all that. That's a process and a half because I have to make room in the shed for them or make room downstairs for them, wherever I decide to put them. I forgot that I had this thing in my ear. So yeah, so I'm feeling a little more excited about the hobby. The one thing though that's kind of stressing me out though, I will tell you this, the tanks downstairs, not like the tanks that we operate out of. So all the like plants that go in those tanks, those are fine. But the 75 gallon that I had set up with like all those rare stems, that tank is like, oh boy, that needs like a whole day's worth of work put into it. And I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm honestly thinking like doing the most simplest thing I can think of and just getting like 100 crypts from one of my suppliers and just lining the tank with crypts. And that's it. Like nothing else. Just crypt heaven. And that way I don't have to trim it because the crypts don't really grow that big. Like, I'll make sure I get one sized appropriately, but a 75 gallon a 75 gallon is huge. So, I could probably use any sort of crypt I want in it and look great. Two, crypts relatively don't have algae issues like most other plants. Like, yeah, crypts can get algae. That I'm not saying they can't, but they're probably the only plant that I see get algae the least out of like swords and anubis and stem plants. Like all the crypts that we ever have barely get any issues. So I think I'm going to go with like just a crypt tank, honestly. I think I might just buy 100 crypt lucians because they look so, like they're usually so full and so great looking. I think I might just do that. And maybe mix in a couple of colorful crypts like crypt red or something. And I think that would do well in that tank. But my problem with that tank, along with these other ones, is moss. And I think, I'm trying to remember back to when I set up the 75. I think I might have purposely added moss. And boy, do I regret that. It is everywhere in that tank. So literally, I don't know. I'd probably have to like catch all the fish, take them all out, remove all the rocks, hose them down, like, or maybe even just take them out entirely and not put them back in there. And then just gravel back the living hell out of it to get all the moss out of it that I can. I mean, I might even have to just clean the whole tank out, scrap all the substrate just to get rid of the moss because it is everywhere. It's annoying because like it's literally suffocating most of the plants that were growing, like all the anubis that I had. It's just taking over. Yeah, reset the tank because moss went nuts. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I think I'm gonna have to do. It's just the moss is driving me crazy. Like, I love moss. It's a great like plant. All of them are awesome, but it just gets everywhere. It like doesn't matter. Like Java moss is the worst by far. Never introduce Java moss if you have a chance to, unless it's like a breeding tank. Then you definitely want Java moss. But if you're doing an aquascape, skip Java moss entirely. But it's just a lack of maintenance. If I had more time and I was in there like every week cleaning it out, it wouldn't be that bad. But it's the fact that it's gotten like 6 months without me touching the tank, and now the moss is just everywhere. And it is just a pain to deal with. But I'm really like I'm trying to psych myself up to do that tank. Like I'm like, all right, let's do 100 crypts, make it look really cool, keep it super simple, and show anybody like, look, you can do aquascapes with just one plant, like But it's literally probably a day's worth of work to get in there, clean the whole tank out, do everything over. Like it's insane, and that's just. It's like finding a day that I have probably 6 hours that I can sit down there and do that is like nearly impossible. Undisturbed, by the way. Like I that's the thing. I don't want to get into it and then be like, oh, I have to go do this, or the baby's crying, I have to come upstairs and handle the bit. Like even though Margaret may be home, like it's just a pain. It's just a pain. But I really want that tank to be awesome. It's too big, and it's just moss everywhere. Like what I'm gonna take a video of it, and I may post it on like Instagram or Facebook and show like everybody like this is what moss does if you don't keep it in check. Like if you're not in there trimming it and keeping it in check, this is what it'll do. It is literally a weed. So much for the myth that moss is a slow grower, says Frank. You see, everybody asks me, like, how can you get your moss to grow faster? And I say, stop looking at it. Because the more you look at it, the more it grows, the less it looks like it's growing. But if you just don't bother to check the moss out and, like, leave it for a month, you'd be surprised at how much it grows. Like, it is out of control. It really is. But yeah, moss, I can't stand it. I just can't do it. I don't know. I just, like... And it pains me because it's it's literally overgrowing all the expensive anubis and boost that I had in the tank. So So like the Anubis is still alive, but it would be growing so much better if there wasn't moss covering it. Like, so it's one of those. I really have to get in there, but I don't know when. I don't know when I'm gonna have the chance. And then the other tank that's well, the other two tanks are stressing me out. So we have the Shell Dweller tank still, and I want to move the Shell Dwellers into the Goldfish's old tank where Lucky was. Lucky passed away, but that tank is still just full of sand, and the plants are growing great, and I want to move them into there. But that's a process because I don't know if they have any more babies in there, and like they're really difficult to spot because they like hide in the shell most of the time. And when you come close to the tank, they run away, so you can't tell how many's in there. And like moving the babies just is like, I don't know. I feel bad like if there's any babies in there and I move them and they die, or if I miss them and they're stuck in the old tank. So I got to figure out a way to do that. But that's the other thing that I want to do. I want to take down their tank entirely and move them into the 40-gallon and set that up a bit better for them. But the 40-gallon is growing great. Like the what was it? The Val that I put in there is growing insane. Like it is all over the place pretty much. So all right, let's see what chat's saying here. What's up, Andrew? How's it going? Sorry I'm late. It's okay, James. I've done that to most of my tanks. Java moss is a weed, yep. The moss from you is the only kind in the 180. Every other tank somehow got a speck of Java in it. Yeah, unfortunately, like, what happens is the, like, when you get rocks or wood in your aquarium, usually they were out in the wild growing stuff on them at some point. So sometimes there will just be a little tiny spot of moss somewhere stuck in there. You won't see it, but it's dried, it's in there. The moment it gets wet, it kind of reactivates. Like, that's the crazy thing about moss is, like, it could be completely dry. You just get it soaking up, it will sometimes come back. It's crazy. Every piece of boost I get ends up melting. Any tips on good water conditions for boost? My research has gone bust. Well, Frank, boost will typically melt back regardless because, one, you have to deal with just the overall plant melt that happens. So aquarium plants just melt in general. When you put them in tanks or whatever, they're gonna melt. And I'm sorry I keep like rubbing my nose, but I've like this nonstop like almost like runny nose, and I forgot to grab tissues, so I know I'm wiping it on my sleeve, but whatever. God, I wish I could breathe. Please let me breathe. So you got the standard like plant melt that happens with boost, like where it'll just melt, and you know, that happens with all plants. Secondly, boost is typically like when you get it from somebody, almost like 80% of the time it's gonna be grown immersed, 100 like 9 times out of 10, honestly, because the only people that I've seen grow it submerged are specialty hobbyists on the Facebook forums. And then Tropica looks like it's been grown underwater. I can't 100% confirm, but the Tropica plants that we get in look really good, and they have very little melt to them, which indicates that they've grown underwater. So I think that those are really good. But, you know, you're going to lose a good chunk of the boost leaves when you first introduce it into your aquarium. That's just kind of normal. But as long as the rhizome it stays firm and hard and doesn't turn to mush, even if it has no leaves on it, it'll grow back. That's the beautiful thing about boost. Because here's how boost grows in the wild. Say this was a rock, right? And on the rock you have like all the ridges and crevices, and there's a stream. So in the summer months, the stream floods, and the water level rises, and the top of the rock may be covered with water, and the boost is growing right alongside of it. Well, whenever the dry season is, the water level will drop, and then the boost becomes exposed to the atmosphere. And so what happens is the boost will dry out and start growing its immersed, or its like what's the word I'm looking for here? Immersed and I guess atmospheric atmospheric version versus its underwater version. So, and when you put it in your aquarium, if it was grown above the water, and you put it in below, it's got to convert all of its leaves, and it'll still grow back. So, as long as it doesn't turn to mush or get like any kind of rhizome rot or anything like that, you're good to go. I wouldn't worry about so much the conditions. Now, if it did melt and turn to mush, now that's a problem because that means that there is something wrong there possibly. But as long as the rhizome stays firm, you're good to go. And if it doesn't, if it turns to mush, then I would look into the conditions of the tank. Could be the pH, could be lighting, could be anything like that. But Moose is a relatively low light plant, so. Throw some moss on a sponge in a water change bucket. Once it attaches, transfer it to the tank of choice. Easy maintenance. Yeah. Now my Java Moss problem is user error. I swapped floating plants from tank to tank without inspecting them. What a noob. Yeah, that happens. But it literally, you take any sort of Anubis, it could be having a speck of Java Moss growing on it if it ever was in a tank with it. That shows the problem with Java Moss. I always tell people because every YouTuber and everybody on Facebook groups and forums and they'll say get Java Moss, and Java Moss is a really easy plant to grow. It's really good at absorbing nitrates and all that. But here's the one problem with it is once you have it in your tank, you're never gonna get rid of it. And here's the other problem is it doesn't grow and look nice. It just looks like somebody woke up and had a bad hair day permanently. There is no maintaining Java Moss. So, when it comes to doing aquascapes and whatnot, I always tell people don't get Java Moss, do something else, and go from there. Got new Anubis that melted in my tank. Had to chop off all the leaves and roots because they were mush. Now I have small sections of rhizome, and they seem mushy. Is letting them sit in the tank best? If they are, so if you could squeeze them and they're mushy, they're probably no good. They're not gonna come back. Now, if you have a section of rhizome like this, and half of it is mushy, if you cut cut after the mush, don't cut at the mush, but after the mush, so you're cutting good rhizome off, essentially good solid rhizome. And then you're left with a solid piece. Normally that'll survive because you're going to stop the spread of whatever is causing that mush to the rest of the rhizome. That could work. But if the whole thing is turning mush, it's garbage. Toss it and try again. Thanks for such an amazing detailed answer. You're welcome, Frank. That's why I'm here. I'm here to answer questions the best I can. James Green says, question. My son was home for 6 weeks while he was away. Security turned off his tank light, and now the Java Moss and Anubis dark and lifeless. Is there any chance the plants will be okay? Oh, now I got the question. So your son was home for 6 weeks, I'm guessing from school, or maybe military, I don't know. And while he was away, the security turned off the light in the tank. So now the Java Moss and the Anubis are black, essentially. Is there any chance that the plants will be okay? Got it. All right. It was the first time I'm reading that, I'm like, what? All right. So 6 weeks without light. So, like I was just saying, Java Moss will probably come back. That is nearly impossible to kill. 6 weeks is a long time without light, but I have faith that that'll come back. The Anubis, that's a little iffy, but I would say it's possible that it'll come back. If you touch the Anubis, like I mentioned earlier, if it's mushy, it's no good. It's not going to come back. But if it's still firm and it doesn't just turn to mush, it'll probably be all right. It'll probably bounce back. You'll probably lose whatever leaves were there, but as long as that rhizome is firm, it should come back. I would think so. But 6 weeks is a long time, so I would say there's a possibility that things will come back. I wouldn't say it's the worst case scenario. Just because it's those two plants, Anubis and Java Moss are exceptionally easy growing and can tolerate almost no light. But It's just going to take some, care and coming back probably. But yeah, those two plants probably. If there was any plant that could come back, those are them. That and Java Firm. So, yes, home from college. Okay, yeah, makes sense. The Anubis should be fine. I left some in a water change bucket in a storage room for months, and it grew. Yeah, Nacy, I agree. I actually... So I have a bucket from the cube tank over here that I took everything out of. And I just stuck it under the tank to, like, let it dry out. And I guarantee you the mossballs in there, if I was to stick them back in water, they'd probably regrow. Because the tank had a bunch of mossballs in it. So I think it would be really cool to see if they come back. Algae will be the death of me. But yeah, the Java Moss and Anubis, super easy plants to grow, so I think that those will turn out well. So let's see here. Anyone else sense a pattern here? I have a habit of forgetting plants in buckets. Yeah, well, I mean, it happens. Especially when you have a bunch of tanks, it's kind of, it kind of happens. It's tough when you have a bunch of tanks, you're doing a bunch of things. Thanks. They did not turn off the filter. Thankfully they did not turn off the filter. Yeah, that's a good thing. Although, in most cases, if you had the light on and the plants were growing, you might not have needed a filter depending on like the overall setup because the plants will like keep it going. Honestly. Which Anubis, besides Nana, tend to flower best? Really, it's like I've never seen Anubis Nana petite flower. I don't think ever. Nana, I've definitely seen flower. I'm trying to think, have I ever seen any of the other ones? I think I've seen Barterai flower and Coffee Folia. I think either one or one or the other. I can't remember. But any of the other Anubis, I've never seen flower. But you know what it is? They don't. Like, typically, I won't see them flower when they've been in the tanks for a very long time. I will see them flowering when I first get them in because they were grown, like, in a humidified area, like, in a greenhouse or whatnot. So they'll typically flower above the water. Very rarely do they actually flower in the water, and if they do flower in the water, it's because you just recently got them from an immersed setup, and they were going to produce a flower anyway, so... does Ludwigia glandusula really require CO2? Audio sounds crackly. I think that's just my voice. Honestly. I'm sick and my voice sounds like crap. Well, yeah, probably. Does it really require CO2? So, in most cases, it's tricky. Like, Alpha, I like that. It reminds me of Alf, the Pogs. The guy in the Pogs. In most cases, I would say no, it doesn't require CO2. As long as you have a really good light. Now, if you have a really, like, budget light and it's not that great, I would say you're going to need CO2 and you're probably going to need a better light regardless. But if you have, like, a super high-end light, like, I don't know, just something that is really good, it'll probably grow it without a problem. It may just grow slower than normal, and that's a slow-growing plant to begin with. It's not actually a really fast-growing plant like other Ludwigias are. I'd say it maybe will grow a whole inch in a month. Like, it grows really slowly. So, I'm breaking down a bunch of tanks soon. I think I'm going to have 5 running at home once I'm done. Yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. There is some static. Let me see. Let me see what I got going on here. This is why I have the thing in here, so I can check the audio. It allows me to hear myself. Let's see. What do we got? Mike, this one. Alright. Oh, Oh, I think I do hear the static. Why can't I connect? Technical difficulties. When can I ever get through a stream without them? Usually it's at the beginning of the stream, but... Hello. Hold on. For some reason, the audio is not going through my headset. Come on. Let me turn off this. Let's see if this works now. Okay. I do hear that, I think. Okay. Can you hear that? No? Let's see. Alright, how did that work? Let's see. Why can't I monitor this though? Well, no. Why can't it won't let me monitor it? What the hell? What the hell's going on here? I don't know. For some reason, I can't monitor. Let me see. Maybe if I can. No more static. It sounds alright. Okay. I don't know what I did, but it fixed it. I switched like a little button in the back here. But yeah, I don't know why I hear static still on this, but I'm just going to put this back because that's annoying. Sorry about that. Was the static going on the whole time? That's weird. I don't know. Like, this. I'm not even going to touch it because I may mess something up again, but this blue, it stopped for a sec. Is it still going on? I don't know. Let me know. Is the audio good? But this blue snowball, was, you know, supposedly like the best one you could get besides, I think, the Yeti. And, I don't know. I think it's just past its time. I think I need to get a new one. I've had it for... How long have I had this? Did I buy this when I started this, or was this back on my old YouTube channel? I think I might have had this past my old YouTube channel. Anyway. So, let's see. How long is the melting period averagely? Averagely? I think that's a word. I also have brown hair algae help. Melting period can last longer for slower growing plants like Anubis and Java fern. It could take much longer for them to actually melt back entirely. For fast growing plants like Rhotalis and Ludwigias, you'll see the melting process happen within a couple days to a week. Brown hair algae, check your... so if it's really like slimy brown hair algae, check your nutrient levels. You'll probably have something that's off, and or your lighting is off. You could try that. What's going on, Jessica? How's it going? Have you ever tried to cultivate plants from your local waterways or lakes? Not particularly, because one, I think you need a permit to do some of that stuff, and you know, but I'm sure you could, because there's tons of invasive species out there, and sometimes they'll probably give you a permit to just harvest everything that's there. BBA could be a nutrient issue or water flow. I've had BBA in my 180 before my outputs, before I move my outputs. Well, she said brown hair algae, not blackbeard algae. And maybe she meant blackbeard algae, maybe. One way to kill it is mix hydrogen peroxide in water in a spray bottle, give it a spritz, and let it sit. Don't spray plants, just the algae. Yeah. Alright, audio is good. Fix, sounds great. Static is gone. Okay, good. Is there a similarity in caring for houseplants and aquatic plants? I also have an off-topic question, if I'm allowed to ask. Yeah, sure, Christopher. You can ask any questions you want, and I will answer it if I deem that it is worthy of an answer. No, but so houseplants are both easier and harder to grow than aquarium plants. So for one, houseplants, if you have a sunny window, most of them will grow. With aquariums, you need a decent light. You need, to make sure you have the temperatures correct. I mean, you have to make sure you have temperatures correct for your houseplants too, but the majority of them will be fine. The one thing that's a hassle with houseplants is you have to remember to water them. And with aquarium plants, you kind of don't have to do that. Just make sure there's water in the tank and they're watered. So that's the one easy part about aquarium plants versus houseplants is it doesn't matter. You just have an aquarium full of water. They're good to go. But the houseplants, typically I water all my houseplants like once a week to once every 10 days. So it's not that much. Now, one of my plants, which really sucks, my Monstera, is I don't think I'm watering it enough because it's sprouting around the leaves, like around the edges of the leaves, which is typically a lack of water. And I just forget to water it. So I think that one needs to be watered a bit more than my other plants do. And I love that plant, so I'm trying to remember to water it more frequently. But it's still growing, so it's not like it's dead. It's just the leaves don't look that great right now, so I gotta try and revive it. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, BBA question up there. Okay. I just want to say thanks. I sent you an email with a picture of a plant I didn't know. You told me the name of the plant was mermaid weed. Oh, you're welcome, Dite. No problem. Yeah, if I could answer a question, or Jake even might have answered that email. I think Jake answered it. Because I remember seeing it and Jake got to it before I did. But yeah, we help out people. Send us questions all the time, like, hey, what is this, or do you think I could do this, or anything like that. We're here to help. It's part of the business. Was attaching an Anubis to a pleco cave with glue and had to bring someone to doctors. When I got back had to bring someone to the doctors. When I got back a couple hours later, leaves were curled, put in tank, lost most of the leaves. Will it come back? So it probably dried out. Yeah, as long as the rhizome is solid, it should bounce back. But you're going to lose all the leaves most likely. It probably dried out. Have to remember to water houseplants. That's where I always fail, yeah. My off-topic question is, do you own an alocasia? If so, are they easy to care for? Now, I believe, if I remember correctly, that is elephant ears. Alocasia. Yeah, that is the elephant ears. I actually have, they're called elephant ears or African mask plant, or there's several different names for them. There's like different types of them. I actually have one. I have the African mask plant, and then I have the Regis Shield one. Right? It's called Regis Shield. I think it's called Regis Shield. So I have those two. Didn't I have a third? Trying to think. I have so many houseplants. No, I think I only have those two. I had a third one, and it didn't pull through. So I will say, out of all the houseplants I have, the alocasias are probably the most sensitive plants to work with. And by that, the two that I have grow, but then they lose all their leaves that they grew, and so they go from having one leaf to having 4 leaves, and then 3 leaves die back, and they still only have the one. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. They're in a sunny window. They get, I think, plenty of water. But they do grow. They're not as full as I'd like them to be, honestly. So are they easy? I would say they're more of an intermediate plant. I wouldn't say that they're very beginner-ish. But I wouldn't say that they're extremely difficult. I hope that helps. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with them not to get them to be more full. My peace lilies are, growing out of control. I can never pronounce the plant. It's the one with the X. I showed it on a video a long time ago. That one's growing really good. My Dracania species are growing really good. My fiddly figs are growing really good. What is the name of the plant? Why can't I remember the name? God, I'm really drawing a blank on this other plant. It's like a pothos, but it's not a pothos. Is it a philodendron? I think it's a philodendron. But yeah, those plants, but the alocasias are driving me nuts. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. H2O plants, my nitrate levels are about 40 parts per million out of the tap. How would you combat nitrate levels in this scenario? I would do, so I would make sure my tank has a ton of plants. I would probably over filter the aquarium. So I would make sure I have a really good filter and a lot of media. Lastly, I would do smaller periodic water changes than one large water change. So whether that means like doing a water change every 3 days of like 10% versus doing like once a week 50%. That way, if you have a good enough filter and you have a ton of plants, that nitrate level should drop within a day or so after doing a water change. So eventually your nitrate should be at 0. So when you take out 10% of the water, you introduce your tap water at 40 parts per million. It should be a minimal effect, and you're adding nitrates for the plants and filter to use. So that'll kind of just be an ongoing cycle. The one thing though, the other thing that you could do essentially is use RODI water. You could normally buy that from your local aquarium store, or you can buy an RO unit and do it that way. It's really up to you, but yeah. Really high nitrates will make your plants melt. No, but it will kill your fish if you have a ton of nitrates. But it has to be over a very large level. Well, not very large. I think like 60 to 80 parts per million is where you don't want it to be. If I'm not mistaken, alocasial plants go through a dormancy period. I think you might be right. I think they go through some sort of like pseudo dormancy. But my plants really they just don't grow that full. Like I feel like they should have like 10 leaves on them, but they don't. I don't know. Thanks was a beautiful plant with massive roots, trying to use the roots to encourage plecos to spawn in the cave. Oh, nice, yeah. I would use pothos plant to eat up some of the nitrates since it comes out of your tap that high. That's another good thing too. You can essentially that's actually a perfectly good response as well. You could take a bunch of pothos plants, right? And I don't know how big your aquarium is, but let's say it's a 20-gallon tank and you want to change 5 gallons of water each time you do a water change. Well, you can fill up a bucket with like 5 gallons of water, stick some pothos in there, and let it sit for a day or two, and it'll probably clean out all the nitrates, and then you can dump that water into the aquarium, and it'll probably be fine. Yeah, it's a little like extra work, but it's another it's another solution to the problem that you have. Have you had any allelopathy issues with your aquarium plants? So, as far as allelopathy, for all those that don't know what allelopathy is, that is when one plant will either somehow chemically or physically attack another plant, whether that be producing some sort of chemical in the water that'll prevent a plant from growing, possible suffocation through roots, or anything like that. It happens all the time in the wild. Allelopathy is the way that plants essentially wage war on each other. You can't escape war ever. It is inevitable in nature too. So in the aquarium, it is insanely hard to pinpoint allelopathy. There are so many variables that you would literally need to run like year-long studies to figure out the plant combinations and know that okay, this plant attacks this plant, and not because it is just your water conditions or the light or the season or anything like that. It's just too difficult to tell. Does it exist in your aquarium? Most likely, though. Plants are, you have to realize you're taking all of these plants from all over the world. It's not like that they're just growing in one area in a pond somewhere in nature. Like, you're taking plants from Asia. You're taking plants from South America. You're taking plants from Africa. You're taking all these plants and you're putting them into a little box, right? And these plants have never been in the wild together. Or some of them may have been. I mean, obviously you have some plants that get exposed to some areas and become invasive. But for the most part, in nature, they were never meant to be together. So now you have them in this little tiny box, and they're gonna fill up your aquarium and look like this mess behind me, and really like there's gonna be something that's happening, but can we know for sure and can we pinpoint it? Not without extensive research and studying very specifically this one plant with this one plant in this environment happens. It's just way too difficult to pinpoint, but it is definitely out there. I definitely believe that it is out there somehow, and that's why some people say, oh, I can never get this plant to grow, and like part of my mind wants to tell them, hey, it could be allelopathy, but like explaining that to somebody, especially when they're new, it could be it's just difficult to really relay that information properly. So I just say grow what you can grow. If a plant doesn't grow in your aquarium and you've tried it, a couple times, I think it's just time to move on to a different kind of plant. That's what I go with. Like, I only put the plants in my tank that are going to grow. If they don't grow, all right, I get a new plant. Like, I'm not, there is no, I'm not emotionally connected to any of the plants anymore like I was in the beginning. Like, I really wanted this particular plant to grow, and now I'm like, all right, let's see what grows in this tank. Odds are, half of what I put in there is not going to grow. And that's completely okay. I'll just buy, different ones and try it from that, And I know that kind of is like, oh, well, if you got the money to do that, then you can do it. But what if you're poor or, you don't have the money? And it's like, all right, well, I don't know. try going to local fish clubs. Normally people are giving away plants. Even Facebook groups. You'd be surprised how many people on Facebook groups just want to give away their plants. Like, that's what I was doing before I started this business. Is I was just like, hey, I got a bunch of plants. Anybody want them? Alocasia likes low pH soil and temperate room like begonias. They are usually dormant in the winter. My mom had one in our office for years. I should have stolen it before she moved. Oh, yeah. Christopher says, begonias don't like me. LOL, they are so beautiful cultivators. Yeah, begonias are absolutely stunning, and I'm so mad. If you are familiar with Summer, right? Her name's Summer? From Homestead, Brooklyn on YouTube. I went to one of her plant swaps here in New York City, and I got this beautiful eyelash begonia from the plant swap, and I planted it. It only had 3 leaves originally. It was in this pot. It grew massive, and there was like just so much of it. It was filling out the pot, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna put it in a new pot and really like get it to grow big. So I put it in this new really big pot, and it just all died, and I was so upset by it because it was such a beautiful plant. So I think in the spring I'm going to order some more. And, I'm super excited. So if all goes to plan, in a couple months we will be doing the fence for our backyard. And once we do the fence for our backyard, that is when it opens up the floodgates for me to do all the landscaping that I have planned. And I know this is an aquarium plant channel, but I am going to be doing a ton of backyard videos, and I don't care if people don't watch because I'm super excited about it. Like, I'm going to have raised flower beds. I'm probably going to plant some sort of tree. I'm thinking Mangolia? Is that how you say it? Tree back there. I'm going to be doing so many flower beds, so many garden beds. Like, I'm going to build, I want to build a elevated seating thing with like a fire pit. But the back of the seats, I'm going to make planters, and I'm going to have just tons of plants, like lots of peonies, just lots of beautiful flowers and other plants. That's going to be super cool. I'm so excited for it. I just haven't been able to do it because we don't have a fence for our backyard, and I don't want to start building these flower boxes and stuff because they're going to kind of run along the perimeter. But, when these guys come to do the fence, they have to rip out our old fence, and they'll just trash my boxes. So I was like, I will wait. And then once the fence is done and in place, then I can do what I want to do. Hello, H2O plants. My water wisteria is not growing. Any tips? You could try leaving it floating, letting it adjust to your water. It may be new. It could be just adjusting. Sometimes that happens. But if you leave it floating, it'll grow. Even just a single leaf will sprout a new plant, actually, surprisingly, with that plant. So don't throw anything out. Just let it float and see what happens. Also, my Java moss is turning brown. That could just be adjusting as well. Typically, Java moss is grown above the water, and when it is submerged, it will brown and then eventually turn green. So just give it some time. If it's been in there a very long time, then I would be a little bit more concerned, but I'm going to assume that it's relatively new to your aquarium. H2O Plants, thank you very much. We'll implement better filtration and add more plants. Just a few Java Fern, Windalove, and Dwarf Sedge in a 3-gallon pitcher frame tank with tiger antlers. Yeah, so more plants the better. That for anybody following along in the video, that's going back to the tank with high nitrates. Browning issues as well. Eco-complete, substrate, lace rock. Should be fine. Maybe just the light. I would say the light or additional filtration will help. What is your idea on using clay pots to grow plants in tank instead of full substrate in tank? I'm using Eco-complete with root tabs. Perfectly fine. I've seen a lot of people. It's actually a really cool idea. Like if you have a big tank with goldfish in it, using clay pots, or even I've seen people use wine glasses. Although the wine glasses aren't going to work as much because they're not porous, so there's really no water circulation down there, so it's just going to be whatever comes in through the top. But when you have a clay pot, it is porous, water is passing through it, and it's coming up through the bottom because normally there is a hole at the bottom of the pot. So clay pots definitely, if you want to avoid doing an entire substrate. If you just want to do bare bottom and just have potted plants, completely okay with me. Actually, that ain't a bad idea. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might be a solution for the 75-gallon if I choose to do that. That sounds really cool, but the problem is I have nanofish, and if I was to do that, I'd probably want to do goldfish. So, and I really like my nanofish though, so I don't want to get rid of them. But yeah, Christopher's summer rain oaks. Yes, I knew that was that. I was like, is it rain or summer? One of the two. Will Cuttlebone raise pH? Mine kept dropping, but fish are okay. Want a neutral pH if possible. I'm sure it will. I believe it is a base type rock thing. The one thing that I would say is you could try base rock. You could try crushed coral. But also you don't want your pH swinging too much. So if your pH out of tap is, I don't know, 6.5, unless you're keeping very delicate fish, they'll probably be okay with that. Even if it says, oh, suggested pH 7.2, but you have 6.5. It's only if your pH is like 5 something and you're trying to keep fish that are like a 7.5, that's a huge problem. But if it's within a point range, so if you have a 6 and you're trying to keep fish that do good in 7, I would say it's probably okay. Only super sensitive fish like discus or something like that. But if they're, I don't know, whatever fish, they're probably going to be all right. The trick is like consistency is better, or I'm sorry. Consistency is better than spot on from like what everybody says. Okay, this is what you should keep them in. Than swings. Like it's better to be constantly at 6.5 than go to 7 and 7.5, then back down to 7, then back down to 6.5, and then back up to 7. Those are the swings that you want to avoid. So if you're just straight 6.5, it's going to be much better than having large swings. Now, you could always keep it in check. If you could keep it at a constant 7.5 by whatever you're doing, then you're probably okay. But that could be sometimes a problem. So, and also, if you're going to do, if you're really worried and it is a really expensive fish, invest in a electronic pH monitor so you can instantly take the pH of the tank digitally. Hanna Instruments make a really good one. And I would suggest doing that because that way you could get instant read. You could also get water additives that raise the pH. So every time you do a water change, you test it real quick. Okay, it's, whatever, 7.0. Let me add a little bit. Boom, 7.5. There you go. Local groups are amazing for trying new things. I have a local houseplant group. We meet up monthly to swap cuttings, plants, and pots. Last month we have a repotting party at a spa. That's awesome. That's really cool. Nisi's up in Alaska though, so that's a far ride for me to come join you. But that's a really cool thing. I love that. I ever since having Nova, we really haven't gone to like. I mean, I think we did in the summer a little bit, but not as much as we used to. We always used to go to. Like every other week, it would be going to a nursery. But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, you gotta chill. You have a ton of plants, you have a ton of aquariums. Okay, I think you went a little overboard, which has definitely happened. Like I went overboard. I'm like even telling myself, all right, no, you need to slow down. You got enough plants. You know, we go into IKEA every once in a while, and I'll see a plant. I'm like, oh, I really want this, but it's like, oh, where am I going to put it? I'm out of room. Like, literally, I have plants everywhere I could possibly have them. Like, I can't have plants anywhere else unless I was to build some, like, vertical shelves in windows, which I'm just not going to do right now, so. My grandma had a magnolia tree. It was beautiful. Yeah, magnolia trees are really nice, but I want to get one that doesn't grow super large. So they have dwarf, like not dwarf variations. Like they're not super tiny, but they don't grow like 30 or 40 feet tall. They'll only grow about 20 feet tall, and that's the idea that I want to have. I want to have something because I want to plant it and then also have a swing set and slide around for Nova and Hector to play on. So. I mean, plants need water. Water is H2O. Same, in my honest opinion. That's right, Nisi, right? House plants and backyard plants are all just plants. Aquarium plants are harder than house plants. They are. I tend to agree with that. House plants are typically easier. I would say because it's like I don't know. Aquarium, well, no, because houseplants you could still get past. It's like tricky because like I have pothos right now. Like this pothos back here has got mealybugs. I've been dealing with it. I keep spraying it down with a soapy solution, and it just they just don't go away. So like I'm about to toss this one and the other one that I have and start over with new ones. They're such a pain, mealybugs. And I even got the green lacewings, and like they helped a little bit, but like it's like something that you have to constantly be doing. Just doesn't work out too well. How's it going, Matthew? I'm working on an aloe vera terrarium. Now that is an interesting experiment. That's going to be pretty cool. Just keep in mind, aloe only likes to be watered like once every 10 to 15 days. So keep moisture at a very minimum amount. And allow for well draining if you can. So like if you could put a false bottom with a lot of extra drainage, that would be ideal for it. Isn't a terrarium constantly wet? That would quickly give your will allow for root rot. Yeah, it could, but it depends if you're doing a closed terrarium or not. Some people can do an open terrarium. Like I was thinking with this tank back here, this one that this donkey's tail is on. That's where I was thinking about doing a terrarium-ish tank with succulents. I think would be really cool. Let's see. Soko says, I've learned so much from your videos. I would suggest doing some videos that show roughly how long things take and how they look, i.e. take a Java fern or water sprite leaf off and see how long they take. It's not a bad idea. A little time-lapse video maybe. It's maybe we'll do some sort of time lapse with maybe like this aquarium or something. Now that I trimmed it, maybe I'll just start taking pictures every day, and that way I can show kind of plant growth. That might not be a bad idea. I will let you know, Christopher. Okay, I had plants in my leopard gecko tank, but that jerk uprooted them. Yeah, sometimes the animals can be jerks. Dart frog vivarium is a future goal of mine. Dart frogs are cool. What I really want is an ant farm, honestly. Like I want to do a big ant farm with like not like the closed-in little ant farms. I want to do like an aquarium-sized ant farm, much like Ant Canada has. He has a bunch of like 40-gallon tanks full of ants. I think would be really cool, but the wife said no. She's like, you could have as many aquariums you want with water and fish, but absolutely no ants. I'm like, dang. So the only way I'm going to ever get ants is if we ever take the whole operation and move it into a warehouse, and then I can get an ant farm. Once I get the slate tile in bottom and plant with clay pots, I'll send you a picture. Awesome, Anthony. What's going on, Jacob? How do you get rid of blackbeard algae from plants and tanks? Typically, blackbeard algae is caused by a couple things. It could be either too much light, too much CO2, or too little CO2, or too much flow. You want to identify where it's growing. So if it's growing on your filter output and growing on plants that are in direct path of your filter output, odds are too much circulation. So maybe figure out a way to turn down the flow. If you don't have that problem and it's growing everywhere, it's either going to be lighting or CO2. If you don't run CO2 on your tank, it's most likely lighting. So then you check out lighting, maybe dim it or raise it up from the tank if you possible, put it on risers and go from there. Manual removal is key. Any tufts that you see, try and pick off. Turn off your filter when you do this so they don't get sprayed around the aquarium, but turn off your filter, pluck them off. Any that you can't get off with your fingers, then you can't just rip off. Spray down with hydrogen peroxide in a pipette, or like a turkey baster, and you want to do little tiny bits. So make sure your filter's off. You see a little spot of blackbeard algae, take the pipette or turkey baster or a spray bottle of some sort and just put a little spritz on it. Give it 15 minutes and then turn your filter back on. Use very, very sparingly. I cannot stress this enough. Do not take a bottle of hydrogen peroxide and dump it in your tank. It's not going to do anything. You need to spot treat precisely, laser pinpoint accuracy. The other thing is if you see a plant leaf completely contaminated with it, it's best just to remove that leaf versus trying to remove the algae from the leaf. While it sucks and it will make the plant maybe look worse, at the end of the day, the algae is probably going to continue to grow on that leaf. And at that point, it's a lost cause, so remove it if possible. The other options are getting a mono shrimp, Siamese algae eaters, reticulated flying fox, which is a version of Siamese algae eaters, which I think are better. Reticulated flying foxes are great. Not regular flying foxes. There's a key difference, so make sure they are the reticulated kind. And Florida flagfish, as I see Soko also commented, will eat it. That's about all I got on blackbeard algae. Hope that helps. You could also dose Flourish Excel, which will help mitigate the algae growth. But manual removal is key. Do not just think because you're doing something it's going to fix itself. The addiction is real. It really is. Finally purchased a 300-liter aquarium with cabinet. What capacity of fish would it hold? 300 liters. Well, I don't know what 300 liters is, so let's see. 300 liters to gallons. 80-gallon tank. So honestly, I would go with it's up to you. Do you want big fish? Do you want small fish? I would personally go with a nano fish. In an 80-gallon tank, you could probably buy about 100 1-inch fish. So small fish like Galaxy Rasboras, Ember Tetras, Neon Tetras, anything that stays relatively small, and I'd do like 100 of them and get a giant school going. Those would look really cool. If you want to do bigger fish, maybe do like 20 or 30 rainbows, Bosmani rainbows, not bad. Or another sort of fish. But I personally like smaller fish in bigger numbers than bigger fish in smaller numbers, because in my mind it kind of relates to going to an actual aquarium. When you go inside and you see these giant tanks with all these fish swimming around, that looks awesome. So I want to shrink that and put it into a box in my house. So that's what I like. What substrate should I put in a cherry shrimp tank? You can honestly go with anything. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to grow plants, I would suggest a plant growing substrate, much like fluvial stratum is good. Also, aqua soil or contra soils equally as good. What is the best string algae eating for an aquarium? Reticulated flying foxes, in my opinion, they are great. What's your favorite type of shrimp? The blue, blue bolts? Yeah. Can't remember the name. Submarine Oaks did a special where she talks about using bugs to eat other bugs. Yes, that is actually what I got. The green lace wings, I got them, but they're like $53 per, every 2 weeks. That's a lot of money to be dealing with these plants. I'd much rather just ditch them and get new ones, honestly. It kind of sucks, but oh well. I have 3 fish tanks now. Where I lost my spot. I have 3 fish tanks now, and I'm making 1 cherry shrimp only. Nice. You could get an ant fish tank. That would be cool. I actually was thinking how could you route it cut a hole in like the side of this aquarium, run a tube through the aquarium where the ants could travel onto the other side and like silicone it in so it doesn't leak and stuff. I thought that like that would be super cool to do or something. Like, I don't know. I like if I had the space, I would totally get creative and do that. Appreciate the help. What's up, Joey? How's it going? Thanks for the $6.99 Canadian. That's like $3 US. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks. What's going on, buddy? I haven't talked to you in so long. I feel like you're my long lost brother. We haven't spoken. I haven't seen Joey in mad long. He didn't go to any of the events this year, and unfortunately, I hear that I think the aquatic experience may not be happening again. May not be happening this year, from what I briefly saw. So we'll see. Miss you, buddy. Hope to see you soon, though. Maybe I'll attend a Aquashella or something. I'm sure you'll be there at one point. What did you do as a job when you were in college? I actually didn't go to college. I am a 9th grade dropout. A lot of people are surprised when I tell them that. Have you attacked the mealybugs with rubbing alcohol? To be honest, if I see them, I just throw the whole plant out. So I treat with, I do a 50-50 split between water and rubbing alcohol. And then I put in a couple squirts of Dawn dish soap. That's what I normally treat. My Oscar just ate a stink bug. Yeah. It fell in the tank. Dang. The ants could go through the tube under the water. Yeah, that would be cool. What liquid fertilizer do you use? I use my own. I use the Vital fertilizer that I saw on the website. It's an all-in-one. Pretty good. Aquatic experience sucks anyways. Come to Aquashella. You know, if they aren't doing, so I'm not going to be doing Reefapalooza again this year unless they book somebody big to go, like Joey or other bigger YouTubers. Just because Reefapalooza this year really stunk for us. The prior year when Joey was there, we did phenomenal and was well worth us going. But it's just too much of a hassle because we're so small. Like if we were a bigger company and I had 10 employees and I can afford to lose 2 employees for the weekend, I would totally do it. But because all of my employees have to go to the event to be able to man the event, it effectively shuts down our online shop for the week because we have to put up a notice like saying, okay, we're not shipping out orders until Wednesday versus shipping out on Monday because we have to do this event. And when you go to the event and you make no money or just break even, but yet you lose money on the back end of things, it doesn't justify the spending. So the only future option for like Reefapalooza is if there's a big YouTuber going that will boost sales that like the year prior did, then I'll go because then the sales will meet and justify that sacrifice. Or I'll just attend by myself and not put my company through that, and I'll just go as myself, to the event rather than, setting up a booth. Aquatic experience wasn't bad this year for us. We actually did fairly well, so that was a cool thing. But from what I hear, may not be happening. And Aquashella, I would love to go if they had one closer, because the closest to me is Chicago, and that is a truck and a half to get to. So, but I might consider it this year if Aquatic Experience isn't happening and Reefapalooza isn't happening because they're not going to book any big YouTuber to go. Then I may just choose to go to Aquashella on my own without my company. I'm a dropout too, Joey says. Got my grade 10 though. GED years later. Yeah, I was the same thing. I dropped out in 9th. I failed 9th grade. I only had 10th grade math, I think, but I failed all my other classes in 10th grade or 9th grade. So I had to repeat 9th grade. I passed math. I was in math 10th grade. I dropped out of high school in that grade, so I would have been in 10th grade technically. And then I didn't get my GED until I was 25. But yet I was able to hustle and get into a job making 6 figures before that. Fortunately, that company eventually shut its all retail presence because it was a retail store. They're still in business. They just don't have a retail presence anymore. They're all online. And then I couldn't find a job because I needed to verify that I had a high school diploma, which I always lied about. So, yeah. Nisi and Justin, you guys use an organic fertilizer for your plants? If so, which brand? I usually forget to. Two things that I would use: either aquarium water is great, or use slow release organic fertilizer. Typically, it's made out of bone meal. That's the one that I like. That's the one that I use. If I remember. My husband and I just bought our Aquashella Dallas tickets. Nice. You should do a tank review video. On what tank? My boss had a saltwater tank years ago. His plants love the water change water. Yeah. Thanks for the great plants, dude. You're welcome, Peter. Glad to help you. Best kind of fertilizer right there. Yep. Another alternate to root tabs. Get good substrate, but even good substrate will die out after a while. It loses its ability to hold on to nutrients, and it also will get exhausted of its nutrients. So, all right, I know I'm coming. So, adding root tabs replenishes that. I like the tank behind you. Thanks, Jacob. I'm actually going to be doing a video probably in another week or two on the tank behind me. We've done a setup video, but I'm going to do a maintenance video. There's a bunch of algae growing in it, so we got to clean it up a bit. In school, I failed recess and got a D in lunch. Nice, Frank. All right, guys. I am about 10 minutes over my time here. Thanks so much for hanging out. For those of you that just joined us recently, Tropica plants will be updated by Friday morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon at the earliest, Friday morning at the latest. So if you want to get Tropica plants, check the website. Then also we're doing a full restock, so you'll see a bunch of plants back in stock that we've been out of. I did explain at the beginning, the Tropica order is the largest yet. It's like 3 or 4 times larger than our last one, so we get a ton of Tropica plants in, both tissue cultures and potted plants. So stay on the lookout for that. Other than that, I will see you guys in another 2 weeks. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed. Hope I answered all your questions, and I hope to see you soon. So I'll see you later, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace out.